Welcome back to the channel. If you like video, don't forget to like, share, and sub. Let the new journey begin. Chapter 1, The Unexpected Inheritance. Chen trudged up the narrow staircase of his rundown apartment building, the sounds of the city echoing in the background. His shoulders were slumped from a long day at the office, and his mind was occupied with thoughts of unpaid bills and an empty fridge. As he reached his door, he noticed a crisp, white envelope sticking out of his mailbox. It was an odd sight. He rarely received mail, and when he did, it was usually bills or junk. Curiosity piqued. Tom pulled the envelope out and examined it. It was addressed to him in neat, flowing script with no return address. Inside, he found a single piece of heavy, cream-colored paper. The letter read, "Dear Mr. Chen, it is with great regret that we inform you of the passing of your great-uncle, Mr. Henry Chen. As his closest living relative, you've been named the sole beneficiary of his estate. Please attend the reading of the will at 10 a.m. tomorrow at Chen and Associates Law Firm, 123 West Elm Street. Sincerely, Chen and Associates." Tom read the letter twice, then a third time, trying to process the information. Great-uncle Henry? He vaguely remembered meeting him once at a family reunion years ago, but they had never been close. Why would Henry leave him anything, let alone his entire estate? The next morning, dressed in his best suit, a hand-me-down from his father, Tom found himself standing in front of the sleek office building on West Elm Street. He took a deep breath and entered, feeling out of place among the polished professionals bustling around him. He was greeted by a smartly dressed receptionist who led him to a conference room. Inside, a stern-looking lawyer and a few other suited individuals sat around a large mahogany table. The lawyer, Mr. Lee, gestured for Tom to take a seat. "Mr. Chen, thank you for coming," Mr. Lee began. "As you know, your great-uncle, Henry Chen, recently passed away. He left very specific instructions regarding his estate, and you are the primary beneficiary." Tom nodded, still trying to wrap his head around the situation. Mr. Lee opened a large folder and began to read the will. The words sounded surreal to Tom's ears. Billions of dollars, a sprawling mansion, luxury cars, and various businesses. It felt like he had stepped into someone else's life. "Do you have any question, Mr. Chen?" Mr. Lee asked, breaking Tom's reverie. This is all a bit overwhelming," Tom admitted. "Why me? I barely knew him." "Mr. Henry Chen was a man of many secrets," Mr. Lee said with a small smile. "He chose you for reasons known only to him. Perhaps he saw something in you that others didn't." Tom left the law firm in a daze, clutching a thick envelope filled with documents and keys. He made his way to the address provided for the mansion, feeling like he was in a dream. The mansion was located on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by high walls and lush gardens. As he approached the massive iron gates, they swung open, revealing a long, tree-lined driveway leading to an imposing house. Tom's jaw dropped. The mansion looked like something out of a movie, with its grand columns, marble steps, and sprawling lawns. A stately butler, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, stood at the entrance. "Mr. Chen, welcome," he said with a slight bow. "I am Mr. Lee, the head butler. Please follow me." Tom followed Mr. Lee through the grand foyer, his eyes wide as he took in the opulent surroundings. Crystal chandeliers, priceless artwork, and luxurious furnishings filled every corner. It was a far cry from his tiny apartment. Mr. Lee led him to a large sitting room where a group of people awaited. "This is Mrs. Zhang, the housekeeper, Chef Tony, Mr. Wang, the gardener, and Mr. Liu, the driver." Mr. Lee introduced each person in turn. "We are here to serve you, sir." Tom nodded awkwardly, feeling out of place among these refined individuals. Thank you. It's nice to meet you all. Would you like a tour of the estate, sir?" Mr. Lee asked. "Sure, that sounds good," Tom replied, eager to see more of his new home. The tour was overwhelming. There were endless rooms, each more luxurious than the last. A private movie theater, an indoor pool, a library filled with rare books. Tom's mind was spinning. He couldn't believe this was his life now. As the tour concluded, Tom found himself back in the grand sitting room. "Mr. Lee, this is all incredible, but I have to ask, what's the catch?" This can't be real. Mr. Lee smiled. There's no catch, sir. This is your home now. Your great-uncle entrusted it to you. All we ask is that you enjoy it and allow us to assist you in any way we can. Tom nodded, still in disbelief. Thank you, Mr. Lee. This is going to take some getting used to. That night, as Tom lay in a bed larger than his entire apartment, he stared at the ceiling, trying to process everything. His life had changed in an instant, and he had no idea what the future held. But for the first time in a long while, he felt a glimmer of hope and excitement. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a wild, hilarious, and heartwarming adventure. Chapter 2, From Rags to Riches. Tom Chen stood at the grand entrance of his newly inherited mansion, still feeling like an imposter. The sprawling estate stretched out before him, an intimidating mix of grandeur and opulence. Every corner seemed to exude a level of luxury he had only seen in movies. He took a deep breath and stepped inside, greeted by the soft click of his footsteps on the polished marble floor. Mr. Lee, the head butler, waited patiently to begin the tour. "Shall we, sir?" he asked with a respectful nod. Yes, let's do this," Tom replied, trying to sound confident. Mr. Lee led him through the mansion, beginning with the grand foyer. "This is the main hall," Mr. Lee explained, his voice echoing slightly in the vast space. "The chandelier is a handcrafted piece from Murano, Italy. It was one of your great-uncle's favorites." Tom looked up at the dazzling display of glass and light, feeling more out of place with every step. They moved on to the formal dining room, where a table that could easily seat 20 people dominated the room. The walls were lined with portraits of stern-looking ancestors, their eyes seemingly following Tom as he walked past. As they continued through the mansion, Tom struggled to keep up with Mr. Lee's explanations. There was a library, filled with rows upon rows of leather-bound books that smelled of rich mahogany and history. Tom couldn't help but feel a pang of longing, remembering his own meager collection of paperbacks. Next was the indoor pool, an oasis of calm with its sparkling blue water and elegant lounge chairs. "Your great-uncle used to swim here every morning," Mr. Lee said. "It's kept at a constant 78 degrees. "That's nice," Tom managed, already feeling overwhelmed. The tour moved on to the private movie theater, complete with plush recliners and a massive screen. Tom's eyes widened. He had always dreamed of having a home theater, but this was beyond his wildest fantasies. Mr. Lee demonstrated the state-of-the-art sound system, and Tom marveled at the crisp, clear audio. As they walked through the mansion's endless rooms, Tom's sense of disbelief grew. Each room seemed more luxurious than the last. A games room with vintage arcade machines, a music room with a grand piano, a wine cellar stocked with bottles that likely cost more than his old apartment's rent. Finally, they arrived at the master bedroom, a suite larger than any place Tom had ever lived. The bed was a king-size masterpiece, draped in rich fabrics and surrounded by elegant furniture. Tom sat on the edge of the bed, sinking into the softness. He felt like a child playing pretend in someone else's house. Mr. Lee stood by the door, watching Tom with a hint of amusement. "It will take some time to get used to, sir, but we are here to assist you in any way you need." "Thank you, Mr. Lee," Tom said, running a hand through his hair. "This is all just a lot." "Understandable, sir," Mr. Lee replied with a kind smile. "If you need anything at all, please do not hesitate to ask." As the day turned into evening, Tom decided to explore the grounds on his own. He wandered through the beautifully manicured gardens, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. The scent of blooming flowers filled the air, and the sound of a distant fountain added to serene atmosphere. Tom found a secluded bench and sat down, trying to process the whirlwind of the past 24 hours. He had gone from barely scraping by to living in a mansion that would make royalty jealous. It was surreal, and he still felt like he might wake up at any moment. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the estate, Tom's thoughts drifted to his great-uncle. Why had Henry chosen him as the heir? They had barely known each other. Maybe there was more to his great-uncle's life, and perhaps Tom was meant to discover it. He stood up and headed back to mansion, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. There was so much to learn and adapt to, but for the first time in a long while, Tom felt a spark of hope. He was determined to make the most of this incredible opportunity, no matter how daunting it seemed. As he stepped inside the grand entrance once more, Tom took a deep breath and smiled. This was his home now, and he was ready to embrace whatever adventures lay ahead. Chapter 3. Moving into the mansion. Chen stood in the cavernous foyer of his new mansion, staring at the stack of boxes that held the remnants of his old life. He had packed up his cramped apartment and moved everything into his great-uncle's sprawling estate. The boxes, filled with mismatched furniture, thrift store finds, and sentimental knickknacks, looked pitifully out of place against the backdrop of marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Mr. Lee, the head butler, watched Tom with a mixture of amusement and concern. "Shall we begin unpacking, sir?" he asked, breaking the silence. Yeah," Tom replied, feeling overwhelmed. "Let's start with the essentials." The first night in the mansion was a comedy of errors. Tom decided to explore the kitchen, which was a gleaming wonderland of stainless steel and granite countertops. Chef Tony, the eccentric Italian chef, had left a tray of hors d'oeuvres and a note welcoming Tom to his new home. Tom smiled at the gesture and decided to try cooking something simple, a grilled cheese sandwich. The kitchen appliances, however, were far from simple. Tom spent 15 minutes trying to figure out how to turn on the stove, only to accidentally set off the high-tech smoke detector. The piercing alarm brought Mr. Lee, Mrs. Zhang, the housekeeper, and Mr. Liu, the driver, rushing into the kitchen. "Is everything all right, sir?" Mr. Lee asked, his calm demeanor slightly shaken. "Yeah, sorry about that," Tom said sheepishly. "Just trying to make a grilled cheese." Mrs. Zhang quickly took over, expertly handling the stove and preparing the sandwich with a finesse that left Tom in awe. "It's best to leave the cooking to us, sir," she said with a gentle smile. Later, Tom decided to relax in the mansion's grand living room. He sank into the plush leather sofa and grabbed the remote control for the massive entertainment system. What he thought would be a simple task of turning on the TV turned into a baffling ordeal. The remote had more buttons than a spaceship's control panel, and each button seemed to perform a different, unexpected function. Lights dimmed, curtains closed, and classical music filled the room, but the TV remained stubbornly off. Frustrated, Tom hit a series of buttons at random, only to be startled by a hidden panel sliding open to reveal a fully stocked bar. "Of course," he muttered, giving up on the TV and pouring himself a drink instead. As the evening wore on, Tom tried to navigate the mansion's labyrinthine corridors to find his bedroom. He ended up in a variety of wrong rooms, a ballroom, a library, and even a room filled with antique musical instruments. Each wrong turn made him feel more lost and out of place. Finally, he stumbled upon the master bedroom, relieved to find familiar territory. The bedroom was a luxurious retreat, with a king-size bed draped in silk sheets. Tom changed into his pajamas and climbed into bed, feeling the plush mattress conform to his body. It was a far cry from the lumpy futon he had been sleeping on for years. Just as he was drifting off to sleep, he heard a soft knock on the door. "Come in," he called. Sitting up, Mr. Lee entered, holding a tablet. "I thought you might find this useful, sir," he said, handing it to Tom. "It's a digital guide to the house. It explains how to use all the appliances, navigate the rooms, and access the various services available to you." "Thanks, Mr. Lee," Tom said, genuinely grateful. "This place is amazing, but it's going to take some getting used to." "Take your time, sir," Mr. Lee replied with a reassuring smile. "We're here to help you every step of the way." As Tom settled back into bed, he felt a mix of emotions, excitement, apprehension, and a bit of loneliness. The mansion was incredible, but it also highlighted how different his life had become overnight. He wondered if he would ever truly feel home in such an opulent setting. The next morning, Tom woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside his window. He stretched and sat up, feeling a sense of renewed determination. Today was a new day, and he was determined to make the most of it. Tom decided to start by exploring the gardens. He dressed in casual clothes and headed outside, breathing in the fresh, floral-scented air. The gardens were beautifully landscaped, with winding paths, vibrant flower beds, and peaceful water features. Tom found a secluded bench and sat down, letting the tranquility wash over him. As he sat there, Tom thought about his great-uncle Henry. He wondered what kind of man he had been and why he had chosen Tom as his heir. There were so many questions, and Tom felt a growing desire to learn more about his mysterious benefactor. Tom's reverie was interrupted by the sound of footsteps. He turned to see Mr. Wong, the chatty gardener, approaching with a friendly smile. "Good morning, Mr. Chen," Mr. Wong said. "How are you finding the gardens?" "They're beautiful," Tom replied. "You do an amazing job." "Thank you, sir," Mr. Wong said, his smile widening. Mr. Henry loved these gardens. He spent a lot of time here. "If you ever want to know more about the plants or need any help, just let me know. I'll definitely take you up on that," Tom said, feeling a sense of camaraderie. As the day went on, Tom continued to explore the mansion and its grounds. He met more of the staff, learning about their roles and starting to build relationships with them. Each interaction made him feel a little more at ease, a little more at home. That evening, Tom sat in the grand living room, finally managing to turn on the TV thanks to Mr. Lee's digital guide. He sipped a drink and watched a movie, feeling a sense of accomplishment. The mansion was still overwhelming, but it was starting to feel less like a stranger's house and more like his own. As he headed to bed, Tom felt a growing excitement about the future. There was so much to learn, so many adventures to be had. He was ready to embrace his new life, mishaps and all, and with the help of his new friends, he knew he could handle whatever challenges came his way.